Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Conscious Marketer podcast. I'm Richard Taubinger. I'm the founder of Conscious Marketer and joined by Kylie Slavik. Hi, Kylie.
Hey.
And, we started this podcast because we really wanted to find a way for people who might not be able to afford the programs or we wanted to just share some really things that would be useful to people who needed some help with digital marketing, and to kind of present a different way that marketing is done that's in alignment with what we would say like soul or spiritual values that we hold. And we think it's kind of a new paradigm we're bringing in here. And so we started this just as an act to be of help. And so this podcast is all about how to ask for help. And this is really an interesting one for me personally, because I think on a scale to 1 to 10, if you're like, how good have you been about asking for help through different points of your life? I think I'm like maybe like a 3 or 4. I think I'm pretty low on the scale. And it's something I've really had to work on in my life because of various things we'll talk about. But I think learning to ask for help, especially at the right time, I think it's really a superpower. And just asking for what you want from the universe. If you can't ask for help, then you can't really ask for what you want in life and the universe. So they kind of like paired together. But let me ask you, Kylie, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you be in asking others for help when you need help?
2 years ago, it would have been a 2, and now it's like an 8. But there's a lot of reasons for that, and we can get into it, I suppose.
Yeah. So and this podcast was predicated. I saw a quote that was posted by Alex Charfin. He teaches a lot of operation stuff. He's an internet marketer. He has his own podcast. I think it's called the Momentum Podcast. I recommend that. It's a great podcast. And he posted something, I think it was a quote, and it basically said that the inability to ask for help is actually a trauma response. Mm-hmm. And when he posted that, I was like, wow, that's like so true. Because I thought, why haven't I asked for help? And I thought back to like when I was in school, and I was shamed maybe when I asked for help. And then I have kind of a perfectionist streak where I feel like I should know the answers as a mentor, as those I teach. And then I don't ever think I got the memo that asking for help is even a good thing, so I think it's like a skill that you can develop. But this idea that it's a trauma response really started to get me thinking like, it really is a trauma response, because when you need help and you don't know something and you contract inward and are not able to connect with other human beings who have the answers that you need, in digital marketing or lead gen or relationships or finance or whatever the subject is, then I'm like, okay, that there's something not firing there, because we should be in connection with others. And we should also really, I've been better at this in I'd say the last 5 or 10 years, like recognizing that I have a skill that I'm really good at. And then other people have mastery around things that I'm never going to be good at. And so I should be asking those people for help.
Absolutely. I mean, the trauma response thing is good just because I think most people are traumatized on this planet. It's easy to see things wouldn't be the way they are, but I do think there's becoming more awareness. I mean, you worked with 2 of the top trauma people in the entire world in the last couple of years, and they reached millions of people. So there is becoming more of an awareness of that, which I think is great. But, when you were speaking about that, I was thinking that if people have asked for help in the past and they've been sort of crushed by that, they're not going to want to do it again, because if that person rejects them, it gives that person all the power over their emotions, And so I think that that power dynamic is something we can still see in such a strong way on this planet at this time in our culture. You have to be strong. You have to know everything. You have to be this, you have to be that. And if you're not, then you're weak and you're stupid and you're this and you're that. So I think, right? I think especially entrepreneurial type people already by nature want to be strong, want to be right, we have all those characteristics. They call it defiance. it's not really defiance, but my friend is a psychologist and she gave me this assessment one day and she's like, you scored very high in defiance. And and she said every entrepreneur does. And it just meant like it's not like you're running around trying to break rules, but it's more like you don't want anyone to tell you what to do.
Yeah. And I think that another thing is that we've all been in situations where we ask for help or we do something for somebody, and then that person expects us to give something back. And so we tend to not ask for help because then we feel like we're going to be indebted to somebody, And so I think there's like this indebted, I think we all have like debt trauma where it's like, it's like we ask for help for this there, and then that's held against us as kind of over us. And so I don't know, it might be my hallucination, but my sense is maybe as a generalization, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think maybe even men are less good at asking for help and maybe women are. Like, isn't there like that thing where like men are terrible at like asking for directions and they have to figure it out themselves, but I don't know if that's just a gross generalization that isn't true or not. Do you have any insight into that, Kylie?
I have heard that about men not wanting to ask for directions, and I think it's different. Like, I think it's different types of not wanting to reach out and ask, but you might be right that in general, it's harder for men. And I think the sad part of that is, I think that's the socialization. Women don't have, at least and I know there's like a lot of gender identity and things like that. So I am speaking in generalizations just from what I've seen in my life, but I just see that a lot of women are trained a little bit differently, where there's almost like you should lean into the men, you should lean into this, you should lean into that. And for the men, it's like, you have to provide, you have to do this, you have to do that. And so I think there is like a quality of, especially American culture, where there's this extreme pressure on the guys. Like I remember when I helped somebody with a marketing campaign that was towards like CEOs that were wanting more meaning in their life, which is funny because we have a client right now that's doing that. But I had this epiphany, because a lot of people are like, oh, the men, they're never home and they're this and they're that and they're not emotional and they're this. And I started realizing when I was helping her to get in the head of a high-powered male CEO, I was like, man, these guys are like sacrificing their life and their time for their families, And so I had like this, and then they're getting shit about it. So like, so I had this epiphany about that pressure that men do face. And so I think that when you're at the top, especially, it's like I'm that lone wolf. And I think all entrepreneurs do get that lone wolf syndrome, but I think women get it less. I have it really badly, but it's been helpful to join a team because now I don't have it as much as I used to.
Well, I think also as you become a higher level creator, entrepreneur, you really lean into people who are specialists in different areas, and you realize that's really the only way that you can grow. Now, what's interesting is we coach a lot of different people in our masterminds and our different programs, our accelerator, and some people are really good at coming on calls and asking for help, and other people kind of remain silent until the end, or they don't ask for the help that they need. And it's that they're doing the work. But I think that for me, the thing that can help, we try to pre-frame, first of all, our groups now and say, look, ask for help. If you're struggling, ask for help. And I think that it might be good to just say when not to ask for help. And so first, because that clarifies actually when you should ask for help. And so first of all, if you've paid for something and you're in a group, like we were in one of our groups or somebody else's group, the time to not ask for help is when you haven't watched the module and done the work you needed to do. So you need to kind of do the work. And as you do the work, what will come up is it's not always easy, like sometimes you have to struggle, or some part might be easy and some part may not be easy. And sometimes I distinguish the two from each other, and I help people to determine what's good struggle and what's bad struggle. So good struggle is you're trying to get your origin story or figure out your offer or write your video script or, put together your marketing plan, whatever it is. And it's taking you some time because it's a whole new task and you're following somebody's method. And you have to kind of go inward and you have to kind of be channeling the answers and working with it. And because maybe it's the first time you did it, you gotta go through that struggle. That's the only way you're going to learn it, So just recognizing that it's not all going to be easy and you have to kind of do some struggle. That's good struggle. Bad struggle is like, you spent 2 hours trying to figure out how to open the sentence of a video. Well, somebody's already solved that problem. Or you're trying to figure out how to log into WordPress or, do something techie. And somebody out there knows how to solve that in like a minute or two. That's bad struggle. So try to distinguish when you're, the background of asking for help should be that you've gone and done the work you needed to do. And then you've hit a barrier that somebody else has the answer to and can do it or can do it much better than you. And then that's when you ask for help. That's like the perfect time to ask for help. And then you can kind of get over it. The other thing sometimes you'll see is somebody like joins like a $97 program and they want whoever they bought the program from to do all the work for them, And so this is like the other version of when not to ask for help. It's like you kind of have to do the work yourself. Now, if you've paid for a done for you service where the person is going to like white glove it and do everything. Yeah. Okay. Then the other person should do the work. But most often, like you're in some kind of service or program where you're expected to kind of do the work yourself. And so this kind of pushing it off and not taking responsibility, that would be the other part of this. So this is, I think these two areas of like when not to ask for help kind of help to clarify like, okay, this kind of like opens up the field to like, okay, this is when I do ask for help. And this is how I can maybe accelerate my progress.
Absolutely. I love that. And I know that you talk about people already in the field, which is really cool. And it's kind of like, I just moved to Nashville and I didn't have any service providers. And I kept telling myself, California has better service providers. And I just was not open to Nashville having anything, not holistic doctors, not holistic dentists, like none of it. I was like, I'm not going to get what I need. I'm not going to get the help I need. So sometimes, like you say, that help is in the field, but I was blocking it because I saw some doctors this week and I'm like, damn, they're way better than my doctors in California. And all I had to do was be open and it showed up. And I'm so glad. Like, I'm like, this is better. I thought I was going to go back to California once a year to see my doctors. And I'm like, oh my God, no, these people are amazing. They're better. So had I stayed close to that, I would not have been able to get the help I need. And so I think that there's, even with all the trauma that we have, I think that there's a need for us to sit in that trauma and still stay open. Still stay open to who's there for us. That's going to give us a better life. That's going to help us and, not be demanding of them, just like you're saying, not be overly demanding of anybody or anything, but just to appreciate that they showed up.
Yeah. It's so funny because I also just went to a move and we've been in a really hot climate here in Spain. And I kept trying to adjust the thermostat for weeks on the wall. We have these two air conditioning units and it's such a funny story. And so I figured out how to change the thermostat to like from Spanish to English language, but I had translated everything on Google Translate. So this went on for weeks. It was really hot here, and humid, and we weren't sleeping well. And so like 2 days ago, my wife, God bless her, she emailed the last tenant and was like, can you help us figure out this air conditioning thing? Because the thing on the wall, we just can't get it to work. And this person who just moved to another country, who we inherited the house from or the apartment from, she emailed back and she's like, yeah, the wall thermostat's for the heater. You're not even doing the right thing. You have to find the remote controls for the air conditioners. They're where the manuals are. So I had spent weeks trying to do this. And really what we just needed to do is ask the previous tenant. And so now our apartment, the last 24 hours has been ice cold. It's like this biggest blessing. And so I guess the lesson there is reach out for help sooner when you're not getting it right. And then also ask the right person. Now, I think one of the things that I would just encourage everybody to do is just to change your identity from somebody who does it all by themselves, and just ask if you have that. And then you can think through the trauma response. Is it because I'm trying to be perfect? Is it because I'm trying to show everybody that I know everything? Is it because I don't want to be indebted to somebody? And just look at that and then think, how could I change my identity? Somebody who asks for help to solve things quicker when it's appropriate. And this is especially great if you're working with a mentor, because that mentor has a lot of the answers, and they can move you through whatever you're going through a lot quicker in any area of your life, whether it's finance, relationship, internet marketing, whatever it is. Like as an example, in our company, we've done probably 300 plus launches, over 80 in the last 2.5 years. And so there's pretty much no problem you can bring to us that we haven't seen or we don't have an answer to. And we can help you get to that answer pretty darn fast and quickly. It's pretty remarkable. And then here's the thing. If I don't know the answer and you have brought me a question around something in the field, guess what? I'm connected to like another 50 people who are really top of their game, and I can find you the answer with a call or an email. It's like, if I have a question on copy or ads, Facebook ads, I'm going to go to Kylie and say, hey, Kylie, I have this question. And if she doesn't know it, she's going to, so part of being in a network is when you reach out for help, this is a really powerful thing of having a mentor in your life. You can really accelerate a lot faster. And rather than spend weeks trying to adjust the thermostat that doesn't even control the unit, you can solve the problem faster, and then you can move your business along faster. And so think about it. This is a compounding effect. The faster you do that, and that doesn't even take into account all the frustration and the wasted resources and times that you could spend doing whatever you're best at.
Absolutely. And even like, if I don't know something with Facebook ads, because I used to run them for a long time, but I haven't run them in a long time, but I write the copy, but the rules are always, always, always changing. So I could say to myself, well, I need to know the ever-changing rules of Facebook ads, or I could just ask Mason, our ad guy, who knows the current things. And so like, I asked him the other day, I'm like, can I say anxiety? And he was like, yep. But like when I was running Facebook ads, you could not say anxiety. So it's always changing. And I could try to read the policy, the 42-page policy every time I write an ad, or I could just ask somebody who's in the trenches every single day. It saves me a lot of time.
Maybe we could end by I think there are definitely different places you can go to ask for help. I think that all of us have people around us who want to help. And, one of the shifts that I heard, I'm not quite sure where I got this from, but it's basically, think about how good you feel when you're able to help somebody. It probably fires some brain chemical off, but when you help somebody and you're of service to somebody, it actually makes you feel good. So if you don't ask for help, you're kind of denying the person that could help you that benefit that they can actually be of service to you. It's like a flow through. So just look around. There's people around you. I think there's people that you can hire. And sometimes the best way to ask for help is just to hire somebody. I don't really like to get emails that say, I want to pick your brain. Like, you can hire me, but don't pick my brain, please. Okay. Like, I get paid a lot. I get paid good money to do, because I solve big problems for people, but don't pick my brain. Let's not do that. So go hire somebody, find somebody, go hire an ad person, hire a copywriter, just hire somebody. Like, sometimes that's the best solution. Moving to Spain, I went on TaskRabbit, and instead of spending 5 hours assembling an IKEA bed, which would have been like torture, you just take a finger instead, really. I hired somebody who needed the job on TaskRabbit it was like 70 €. I was like, oh my God, that's the biggest bargain. And then I paid him another 50 euro tip, which is really unusual here. But I was so grateful that he built my daughter's bunk bed. Took him 3 hours. It's incredible. So hire others. The third is hire somebody that's dedicated to you and can see the higher vision of you. This could be a life coach, it could be a consultant, it could be a mentor, or join a mastermind. This is the best way, because then that person is always a good mentor is always thinking, how can I accelerate the person I'm working with? What help do they need? And then if you're not asking questions, part of that mentor's job is to help you to ask the questions and to figure out where you need the help. And then lastly, my favorite place to ask for help is to ask for help from your higher self, God, the universe. And Kylie and I were brought together into a relationship by a Maori elder named Atarangi. And her prayer to the universe, which I will share with you, I don't think she would mind, is universe, give me a sign or give me an answer. And I'm not and make it really clear, because sometimes I miss things, and make the sign really big. In fact, don't just give me one sign, give me 3 signs or give me 3 answers so that the answer is really clear. My personal technique is before you go to bed, you can ask for help, early morning walks, showers. These are other places where if I'm struggling with something, but you have an inner resource where we often think we have to ask outward. But this is a conscious marketing podcast. We're going to go there. We're going to be woo-woo, go inside. And a lot of times you can get so many of your answers are inside you, but not from your mental thought forms. They come from a different place. They're literally downloaded to you. And then I would highly encourage you, because I've learned this the hard way. When you're downloaded the answer, trust it. Learn to trust that answer, because that answer often will have the most power and guide you to things that maybe were even beyond what you even thought were possible.
I love it. Such good stuff. So we hope that you found something here that will help you lean into trust and faith and asking a little bit more, because it will accelerate your growth and your results, and it will help you get things done faster and more efficiently.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us on this podcast. We really appreciate you being in our community. And you can also join us in our community on Facebook at the Conscious Marketers Path there. If you're not on our email list, we send maybe 2 emails a week, Kylie and I kind of co-write those. And if you want to get on our list, you can go to consciousmarketer.com. That's the place where you can find out more about us. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure to be of service and to share this information with you. Thanks for being here.